Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a great start to your week. I wanted to do a read aloud for you today and also show you how you're going to record your mythology project. So, the first thing you have to do is get into your Google account. You'll notice I'm in my Google Docs right now. It doesn't matter where you are in your Google account, but open up, get into Chrome, and you'll notice there's a little extension here. This is Screencastify. It's a little red arrow. We used it for our broadcast projects. And so you will click on the red arrow. And when it opens up, it gives you the choice of doing a desktop recording, which is what I'm doing right now to show you how to record your project. Or you can do webcam only, which is where you are recording yourself, which is what I do for all my videos. So, which is what you guys did for your videos as well. First thing you have to check is to make sure your microphone is working. And you also have to have, obviously, a camera that's going as well. So those two things need to be working, and once they are, then you can do your recording. And then you click on record. And it does a countdown. Hi, everybody. I'm here to share with you my mythology story. I actually took a story from my favorite book of Tasha Tudor's Book of Fairy Tales. So I'm going to read you this story now, and then I'll show you what I do with my recording when I'm done. This story is called The Flying Trunk. Long, long ago, a wealthy merchant left a fortune to his son. The son spent it freely and lived a merry life. He went to a fancy ball every night. He ate the best food and wore the most costly clothes, and entertained his friends like a king. So the money went until nothing was left but a few cents, and a pair of slippers and a dressing gown. Nobody noticed him anymore. But one of his friends sent him an old trunk with a note saying, "Pack up." There was nothing to pack, so he got into the trunk himself. It was a remarkable trunk, for the minute you pressed it, the lock flew up. The minute you pressed the lock, it flew up into the air. Whiz, it flew up through the chimney and high up above the clouds, with the merchant's son inside. On went the trunk, to the land of Turkey, where it landed. The young man hid the trunk in the woods and went to town. His dressing gown and slippers were not noticed, for the people there wore robes and slippers all day long. He met a man and asked, What is that great palace close by the town with the windows set high up above the roof?" So if you look at and then I'll show my picture. So if this was your mythology project, you would be reading it and then stopping every now and again to show us the pictures. This story actually only has like 2 pictures, so I can't show you very many, but you get the idea. You have more than 2 pictures for your books if you did a book. Or if you were doing a puppet show right now, you'd have the puppets on your hands and you'd be reading your story along while we're looking at the puppets. You'll notice I have my story printed out. If you have a printer, you can print your story out so you can read it to us. If you don't have a printer, you can put your story on another device. You can do double screens where your story's on one side and you're recording yourself on the other. There's lots of options if you don't have a printer. So back to our story. "The king's daughter lives there," the man said. "Nobody's allowed to visit her except in the presence of the king and queen." "Thank you," said the merchant's son. He went back for his trunk and flew to the palace roof and crept in the window to the princess. She was lying on a sofa asleep. Soon she awoke and was terribly startled, until the merchant's son told her he was a Turkish god who had come down to her from the sky. That pleased her very much, so they sat side by side and he told her some wonderful stories. Then he proposed to the princess, and she at once said yes. "Come here on Saturday," she said. "The king and queen will be here for tea. They will be very proud that I'm marrying a Turkish god. But be sure you have a really beautiful story ready, for my parents are particularly fond of stories. My mother likes them to be instructive, and my father likes the stories to be funny." "Yes, I shall bring no wedding gift, but a story," said the merchant's son. The princess gave him a sword set with gold coins, and they parted ways. The merchant's son flew back to the woods. Then, taking his sword, he walked into the city and sold it, and bought himself a fine new dressing gown with slippers. When Saturday came, he flew to the palace roof. The king and queen and court were all waiting to greet him. "Will you tell us a story?" asked the queen. "One that has deep meaning and is instructive." "But a story I can laugh at," said the king. So the merchant's son told a story, one that was both instructive and funny, which was not easy to do. The king and queen were delighted, so much so that the king said, "You may have our daughter's hand in marriage, and we will prepare for the wedding immediately." On the evening before the wedding, the merchant's son bought some rockets and all kinds of fireworks. He put them in his trunk and flew up into the air and lit them up. Whiz, how they popped and flashed. Never before had people seen such sights in the heavens. They could now see that it really was the Turkish god who was to marry the princess. That was the picture we saw earlier. Like I said, there's only 2 pictures in this story. So you guys will be reading, showing more pictures than I am. As soon as the merchant's son had landed his trunk in the woods, he went into town to hear what people were saying about the fireworks. And what stories the people told. "I saw the Turkish god himself," said one. "He had eyes like stars and a beard like foaming water." "He was flying in a mantle of fire," said another, "and angels peered from the folds of it." The merchant's son was delighted. He went back to his trunk, but where was it? A spark from the fireworks had remained inside the trunk, and now it was burned to ashes. Never again could he fly up to the princess on the roof. Never again pretend to be a Turkish god. That very night, he went away sadly and has wandered about the world ever since. And there's the last picture. So this story, much like our Greek mythology, ends quite sadly. So that's the end of my recording. It was about about 5 minutes. So now I'm going to hit the stop button down here. And then, as you can see, I'm seeing myself now. And this is my recording, and I can hit the, if I hit the screen, it'll unmute me. I'll read you this story now, and then I'll show you what. The first thing you want to do before you do anything is put a name up at the top. So click up here at the top, and you'll type in your name. Myth picture book, we'll say. If you did a puppet show, you could type in puppet show. If you acted out with little props on the screen, you can put, movie. If you decide to do a common craft, you can put your name and put common craft. As you can tell right now, it is saving to my Google Drive. It goes automatically into your Google Drive. And then from there, you can, this shared a classroom button might work. I tried to get that to work, so I had to sign up for it. So try this share a classroom button. If that doesn't work, just once it's done loading, it will go into your drive, and then you can go to Google Classroom, and there will be an assignment that says your mythology recording, and that's where you would drop it. And make sure you don't try to create a new one. Make sure you find it in your Google Drive and then drop it there. And I'll have all of your videos then in the classroom. But like I said, if this shared a classroom button works, we'll be in luck. You can click right there, and it'll automatically go to Google Classroom. Okay. So that is how you will record your myth. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, everybody.